What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You are now tuning into
It
Therapy.
took one tablespoon of patience, one teaspoon of generosity,
We're here
one
to
puff of kindness. He
have
took one
full.
quart of laughter, one pinch of concern, and then he mixed the willingness with
So,
happiness.
for
He
those
added a touch of faith, and he stirred it up
who
again.
enjoy listening to some real therapeutic messages and conversations, please like, subscribe, and share. Because you know that's all we do here on Therapy Hub is we try to give the therapeutic side of things and just try to give good advice and just educate the people on what's right from what's wrong. Now, this episode is very tragic because we have just dealt with a big loss um, for sports fans, especially Minnesota Vikings fans. There's been a loss of a young man by the name of Rondale Moore. He is their wide receiver. He died at 25 years old. 25 years old. That is young. So I just want to say rest in peace to Rondell and condolences to his family and friends as they're dealing with a difficult time right now because of his loss. So we'll slowly turn this music down and we'll do a moment of silence. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, Rondell Moore, Minnesota Vikings wide receiver, dies at 25. He was found dead in his garage at his New Albany home in New Albany, Indiana, where he's from, his hometown. And he was found in his garage with a self inflicted gunshot wound. Now, sources say he committed suicide and, he didn't show signs of any, types of trauma or any types of mental health, quote unquote, issues at that time. Now, everybody also saying that how Rondell Moore was very soft spoken and he was very humble and very proud of himself and loved what he did. But there also comes a time, and especially as a young player, where because you've reached so far to get to where you're at, especially the NFL, it's not a easy road to get. It's not an easy road to go down to drive on, and then to get to the NFL is very hard. So what some sources are saying is that Rondell had some issues with his knee and other parts. Um, but he was primarily having issues with his knee, and he was having, he was off and on the field throughout, 2024 to 2025 season, and then this season as well, and then of course, but the beginning of his season, sorry, he was playing quite well, and then when he was traded, I think to the Falcons, and then to the Vikings, I believe when he went to the Vikings, he was starting to feel himself back again. And there's a video I'm gonna play, which was his last play that he did in the NFL before he died, and you could see that he was holding his knee, and the way he was holding his knee seemed like he was in some type of pain, and that he was still having issues with his knee. Now it was his left knee, I believe. So, and then they had to actually, carry him. They had to pick, wheel him out, and escort him out, you know, on a bed, are in the in the jeep. And when they escorted him out, um, that was his last game that he played. So to me, it's seeming like he was very upset and stressed about his injuries, and he probably thought that this would probably be the end of his career, and that he may not know what to do moving forward. Now, what a lot of people don't understand, because a lot of people will speculate and say, well, hey, this guy's a, he had a lot of money and he was successful. Why would you want to kill yourself? There's better, there's other options to take. And you could be right. But what most people are not understanding with a lifestyle like that, why a lot of these guys tend to lose it, tend to crash out when they end up going through injuries and breakups and things like that, is because they are already living up to a certain expectation. So when you become a millionaire and you're from, say, a middle class or a poor community or environment, you automatically become, when you become a millionaire, you automatically become a millionaire. You are no longer poor. You're no longer living in a poor environment. You become a millionaire. So when that happens, you then have to live up to your expectations. So sometimes when financial situations are not working well, or things are not going the way you plan, you're not getting the right deal from the right team, and you end up getting a pay cut and end up getting traded, or whatever the issue is, that becomes primarily a trigger, because what what happens is you're not going to be able to live up to your expectations. You may have to downgrade. Now, for some people, for me, downgrading, I don't want to be downgrading anymore as the age that I'm in. I think it won't make sense. I have to upgrade, but like, to before, I didn't mind downgrading if I had to, because sometimes I always learn that sometimes you have to take a step back to take a step forward, right? And when you take a step back, you're only taking one step back. You're not taking two, three, four, five step back. You're just taking one step back to take an extra step forward, because you need an extra push. Okay? It's like when you're stuck in snow and you're driving a car and you reverse your car, you do a one little reverse and then drive to give it that extra push. It's the same thing. Sometimes you need to go back to move forward, extra forward. Okay? So some people in life, we don't get these things and we don't think logically. And when things happen, we tend to lose control. Now, I am far from perfect. I have situations sometimes where I get upset, I lose my cool, I get angry, I have anxiety, I go through depression, you name it. But the most important thing that I deal with when it comes to my mental health is I always talk to somebody. I always have an outlet. Even doing this show, doing this stream is an outlet, because I'm not on live right now. I'm pre-recording, but I'm talking to myself and I love it. You know what? Hey, let me talk, and I'm letting everything out, and at least I'm not really talking to myself. It's going somewhere because it's on a platform and people are going to listen to it, right? So we need to do these things more often and tend to want to reach out and call people more often. Now, I want to just make one more point before I get into the videos. I always say, when you call somebody, they're not always there to answer your call. They may be busy, they may be at work, they may be with their children, they may be with whatever. They may, they're busy. So sometimes we tend to fall short when we, because people, sometimes we need somebody right away. Like, I need to talk to this person right away. I need to get it out. There's outlets that we can use for our self therapy. Now, remember, every week that I come on Therapy Hub, I talk about self therapy. Self therapy is the most important thing. And the reason why self therapy is the most important thing, because it allows you to treat yourself when others can't help you, or when others can't help you to be treated. So it gives you the tools, and it gives you the manual. It gives you the tools in the manual to help yourself. Now, it could be from walking in the park and going for a walk down the street. And I always tell people, if you're mad at somebody, don't go down, or mad at people, don't walk down a busy street where there's lots of people, because you want to be alone. You don't want to be irritated. I mean, maybe somebody, you may walk by somebody and they may bump you, and it may irritate you. Or you may see somebody and they may look at you away, and you may think, you may personalize it, and it may hurt you. Or it may bother you. So you react to it. Find a different route. Walk somewhere where there's nobody. Go to a library where it's quiet. People at the library don't like to be bothered. Everybody there is doing their own thing. That's the best place if you want it, if you need space and you need to be alone. And the other good thing about the library is there's books you can read, and there's magazines, and there's computers, and there's things that you can do that doesn't necessarily have to have to make you interact with anybody. You are completely by yourself and have your space, and you're completely alone. Now, I'm going to get into these videos, and we're going to get back into some more self therapy tools for this week, because this is very important. Suicide is very important. When I was young, I went through a moment with committing suicide. And when I did, my parents reacted quickly. And what they did was they got me help. And I used to I used to rebel against them and say, how can you guys do it to me? Because this place was like a prison. However, it made me think to myself, do I really want to kill myself? And do I really want to hurt myself, or commit suicide, if that's the better term, right? And what I did was, I thought, and this is before I, you know, ever been incarcerated or whatever the fact is. When I went inside, it was like it was in a hospital right next to the hospital, St. Mike's Hospital. It was called Youthdale, but it was a place that nobody, you couldn't understand this place. Like, they were, you had to sleep with your door open. Um, you couldn't sleep with the light off. You ate hospital food. It was pretty much like jail. It was monitored. The staff was in the hallway while you slept. Um, and yeah, there was separate units, and you weren't allowed to leave. You like, there were certain levels that you had to be on, but the level that I was on, I was like on a watch, so I couldn't leave. So I was locked up. You know what I mean? So I didn't last too long in there, because I ended up acting too crazy for them to get me out of there, which is because I didn't want to stay in there. So I just did, was even more crazier. But um, did it help me? Not really, but yes, it did, because it made me realize. Look, I've heard, like, in the middle of the night, people yelling and screaming. I thought people were like dying, and I'm thinking, where am I, man? Like, this place is scary. So I had to think to myself, do I really want to commit suicide? Do I really want to kill myself? I don't think so. I don't think that that's something that I want to do, because I've seen people that actually have those thoughts and do those actions, and I'm nothing like them. Not to say of the least, I just feel like I'm nothing like them, and I don't need to be there. So, um, that's how that went down. But anyways, we're gonna get back to those conversations about Youthdale and other things like that about youth that are going through crisis, because there are hotlines and help that you can get or ask if you're going through these things. Okay, let's get into the video here with let's get into the news video first.
The NFL is mourning the loss of a bright star. Rondale Moore, a wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, has died of a suspected self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to the New York Times, citing local police. He was 25 years old. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell shares in a statement on X February 21st, "I am devastated by the news of Rondale's death. While Rondale had been a member of the Vikings for a short time, he was someone we came to know well and care about deeply. He was a humble, soft-spoken, and respectful young man who was proud of."
I didn't mean to stop that, but I heard this a lot when about him, is that he's been humble, soft spoken, and he was very proud of his roots and that type of stuff. And it's just devastated to hear that he would do such a thing. Um, if all of these all of above are mentioned. Anyhow, let's go. Let's get back to the video.
Man who was proud of his Indiana roots. As a player, he was disciplined, dedicated, and resilient despite facing adversity multiple times as injuries sidelined him throughout his career. Kevin continues, "We are all heartbroken by the fact he won't continue to live out his NFL dream, and we won't all have a chance to watch him flourish. My prayers are with Rondale's family, friends, teammates, and coaches as we all deal with this tragic news." According to local police, the pro athlete was found dead inside a garage in New Albany, Indiana, February 21st, and an autopsy is scheduled for February 22nd as authorities continue to investigate Moore's death. The Floyd County, Indiana coroner confirmed to the New York Times.
Yeah, man, it's sad, man. Unfortunately, these guys are young, 25 years old. I believe what's his name? Keyshawn Nealon or, or Mayshawn Nealon. He was 24 years old, and that happened about 4 years ago. Let me look here. I think it's Mayshawn. What's his name? Anyways, yeah, Nishan Nealon, I believe. I believe that's his name. Marshawn. Marshawn Nealon. So Marshawn Nealon played for the Cowboys, and he was from Michigan, but he died in Frisco, Texas, where he lived. Now, his article says, um, that police in Dallas suburbs say a 24-year-old Dallas Cowboy defensive and Marshawn Nealon of an apparent gunshot wound. Apparent suicide gunshot wound, evading authorities in his vehicle and fleeing the scene of the accident on foot. So he was actually fleeing from the police. This guy here, man, a lot of these guys, man, these guys are serious, man. Frisco police said Thursday they are investigating the suicide. They said Nealon did not stop for Texas Department Public Safety troopers over a traffic violation in a case that was joined by Frisco police Wednesday night. Authorities lost sight of the vehicle before locating it, crashed minutes later. During the search after Nealon fled the crash site on foot, officers said that they received a word that Nealon might be suicidal. As authorities were looking for Nealon, a dispatcher told officers that people who knew him had received a group text from Nealon saying goodbye. They were concerned for his welfare. according to recordings from broadcast feed with Archives public safety radio feeds. We're talking to the girlfriend. She's trying to call his agent, but we're trying to get her to call him first. But she's saying he is armed and has a history of mental illness. And her quote was, "He will end it all." Another dispatcher told officers. He was found dead on a self-inflicted of a self-inflicted gunshot wound early Thursday morning, about 3 hours after the crash. Police said without specifying where Nealon's body was found. In the recordings from broadcast feed, officers said that they had tried to get in contact with Nealon by calling and texting him and had used a drone to try to locate him after the crash. Wow. Now that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep, man. Rest in peace to him as well. Um, and this is my point, and maybe he felt like, oh wow, I'm, I'm having these mental health issues. I'm just gonna just get into a police chase, do something wild to give me a reason to kill myself because I'm a football player, and if I get caught in this police chase, I'm gonna lose everything anyway. So let's just kill myself now. And it's sad. Now, one thing I want to ask is why is the why is the NFL, so there's actually, let me get into this article. Actually, there's an article here.
Violent.
Dun, 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 Let's get this article. I'm gonna pull an article up because there's an article that was talking about um pretty much about the NFL, and that these incidents are happening a lot, and why isn't the NFL doing anything about it? So I agree because, like I said before, I said, you know, the only thing that the only thing that um that can save a player from not understanding, or sorry, from understanding the difference between your career and your life. There has to be somebody that is a professional in that field or in that department that can help these guys on every team, because this is something that's been coming quite common. And it's really disruptive to hear, because you know you want to feel like, if you're going into sports, and that you're, when you're playing sports, that it's a safe world. It's supposed to be a safe world. It's supposed to be a healthy world. They practice on, and this is why I believe a lot of it, this is still modern day slavery. Because if you can practice on encouraging somebody's health, encouraging them to exercise, not to smoke cigarettes, not to do this and that, it's, to me, it's just based on their performance for you, or your organization, or your league. But what about the mental, the real mental, the mental beyond the physical, which, because in order for you to have good physical health, you got to have good mental health. You're not going to be able to play sports properly, or to be able to be a champion, or to be focused and to lead a team, to be a leader of the team, if your mental health is not up to par. right? So what the league should be doing is focusing on the mental health piece first. Because I always say this, and this is what I'm going to write in my book about the subconscious mind, about building confidence and building life. Your subconscious mind is your body. People get it mixed up. Your body is your subconscious mind, okay? Which means, all right,
The
that
NFL is mourning the loss of a bright star. Rondale Moore,
which means that your body is controlled by your mind. Okay? Your body cannot be subconscious and your mind is conscious and your mind is controlled by your body. That doesn't make any sense because your body is the subconscious part. So the conscious part is your mind. So what your mind does is your mind talks to your body and tells your body what to do. This is why when we have issues with addiction and things like this, we tend to fall short because we confuse the two. If we program our minds and tell our minds, hey, this is what you need to program, it automatically programs your body, right? Now, I'm not perfect at this mechanism because there's still things that I still need to do subconsciously, but are better subconsciously, but I've recognized it. And that's all you need to do when you're dealing with things like this. You see, we don't have awareness sometimes, and that's how we don't know. It took me a while to understand my mental health issues with my depression and my little bit of schizophrenia and all these little issues that I had in my life. It took me a while to figure out, said, where am I getting this from? Why am I talking? Why am I hearing these voices? Why? Where are these voices coming from? That is a um this is a it's a sister or a branch from schizophrenia or from depression, and it's leading to schizophrenia because of my depression and so on and so forth. So when we're aware of these things, then we're able to target them, right? And then the triggers become a little bit less activated because we're aware of it, so we're aware to stay away from the triggers. Because if anybody that knows or has or dealt with mental health, you know that your trigger is something that you want to stay away from if you want to do better, right? Your triggers is something that you have to stay away from. So dating back to this young man and him understanding the point, that you know and hey, listen, I don't know his full life, and there could have been a lot more things that we don't know about that he could be facing or be dealing with that could have been far more traumatic or understanding to deal with. However, everybody in life is loved as much as you feel like you're not loved. Okay, my family, my friends, everybody walked away and turned their back on me. But that doesn't mean that I'm not loved. That doesn't mean I'm not cared, right? Now, I'm not also saying by them, but I'm saying it doesn't mean that I'm not cared about and that nobody loves me. You just have to dig deep down inside and find out who those real people are. If they become if it becomes to the point where it's absolutely nobody, because I've gotten to that point where I've hit the brick wall and I'm like, holy, who do I actually have? I actually have nobody. And then somebody pops up or something pops up and says, hey man, I got you. 9 times out of the 10 for me, I'm spiritual.